Right, just in, as you know, more than 160 girls were reported dead after a strike hit a girls' elementary school in southern Iran. Washington is saying it is going to investigate the incident, even as it insists that American forces do not target civilians. But at the White House, the press secretary has said the U.S. Department of Defense is examining what really happened. She's pushed back strongly against suggestions that U.S. forces deliberately struck a civilian facility and accused the Iranian leadership of using propaganda around civilian casualties. But the photos you see on your screens, those rows, are of graves that were dug for school children. We are told over 160 graves were dug in Iran as these school children, little girls, were targeted. Washington says it will now investigate the incident, even as it insists that American forces do not target civilians. We've got crucial reactions from the U.S. Defense Secretary and the White House Press Secretary lined up for you. Listen in to what they just said.
All I can say is that we're investigating that. We, of course, never target civilian targets, but we're taking a look and investigating that.
The Department of War is investigating this matter, and I would just tell you very strongly the United States of America does not target civilians, unlike the rogue Iranian regime that targets civilians, that kills children, that has killed thousands of their own people in the past several weeks, and uses propaganda quite effectively. And unfortunately, many people in this room have fallen for that propaganda. So I would caution you from pointing the finger at the United States of America when it comes to targeting civilians, because that's not something that these armed forces do.
Well, the US says that they will examine what happened. That's the latest coming in from the US Department of Defense. In fact, the White House has pushed back strongly against suggestions that US forces deliberately struck civilian facilities and have accused the Iranian leadership of using propaganda around civilian casualties. But this strike comes amid a widening US-Israel military campaign against Iranian targets and mounting reports of civilian casualties inside Iran. Vishal tracking the latest coming in from the White House at the moment. Vishal's with us live from the newsroom. Vishal, the US says it will probe this tragic Iran school bombing that killed over 160 girls, with that image becoming quite the stark visual that represents the human cost of war. The US now saying they're going to probe what really happened?
So, answer the larger question as to who could be, behind these attacks, because so far we've not heard from anyone who could, pinpoint and say that yes, Israel or US could have been involved in this attack. Of course, when this happened for the first time, there was shock and awe across the globe, because a lot of people did not believe their eyes, because to attack a school, that results in the deaths of at least 150 students. That's almost unheard of in a war scenario, especially in the last 10 or 20 years. And this happened on the first day of the war. So what kind of preparations went into this, the tragedy, that will have to be examined. Whether it was the US side or the Israeli side, that will have to be examined. So far, no comments on that. White House is saying that it will investigate the cause of the tragedy, but it's not saying that it was behind the tragedy. So we'll have to wait as to what really happened. And this incident has, sparked off different protests across Tehran, across Iran. So this will weigh on, US and Israel's shoulders for a long time.
Indeed.